Hey, what's going on everyone? Tabasa here. Today I thought I would make a video talking about one of my favorite hobbies that I've had ever since I was around 5 years old, and that is building Legos. Now, as an adult, I tend to be very picky on what sets I do collect and buy. However, what ended up happening throughout my years is there's a lot of sets that I have broken apart because as a kid, I break them apart. I build some different things like houses, marble runs, stuff like that. And so I thought I'd just show a couple of the mocks I've made recently, maybe within the past year, that I think are pretty cool and I would just like to document for my purposes because I think they're pretty cool and I feel like maybe one day they might end up, breaking apart and I'm like, well, shoot, it'd be really cool to show like a picture or a video of it. So, the first thing that I'm going to show is from the one of the most beloved Lego series ever, and that's Power Miners. And this is a mock that I made out of a couple of sets that I had. Now, on the feasibility side, this is obviously a drill from the drill set. However, with it being able to swivel, it makes absolutely no sense on how it's a bore or a drill in the first place because you won't technically be able to like turn and drill something because you have to go into it. So on a realistic scale, this is like a 0. However, I have the two claws in the front, I have a scooper in the front, and then as you can tell, the cab is actually on the side, and then on this side I don't know, kind of made some random engine looking things. On the back, I do have a ladder for them to get up, and when you are up, you would have to flip the ladder up in order to make this swivel a lot more cleanly around like this. So it's a in operation phase, if you will. Inside, it's very, very hard to see, but there isn't a giant engine in there that I made. And obviously populating throughout, we got the different types of power miner people. I don't know if they really had any names, but I just kind of found all of the ones that I did have. I think the one with the silver helmet is from Wave 2, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that is my little power miner mock that I made up. Now let's move on to my favorite Lego series, both video games and superhero wise, and that is Lego Batman. And I'm going to start off with this first one I believe that I made, which is a Riddler mech. So this was after I played Batman Arkham Knight, and I was like, oh, the Riddler having a mech, that's a pretty cool idea. Let me make one, because I do have a Riddler minifigure. It's not the OG one. However, I didn't have anything for the Riddler that I could recall besides, I think it was the car set, the one where the Riddler has a vehicle. But I wanted to make a mech since in Arkham Knight he has a mech. Now this isn't obviously supposed to look like it, but this main dome piece being here just to protect his face and nothing in the back is kind of what inspired it. There is a lot of posability with all the joints that I used. The feet are pretty basic. I don't know really how to build a mech, if you will. So this is probably like the first mech that I've ever truly built. As you can see, the cockpit has a bunch of controls as well as an engine, and then on the back here is a jetpack, so it could, in a sense, rocket away if it wanted to. Some of these connections are pretty weak, but that was mainly just due to the parts that I was limited to, because I really wanted to stick with green and gray really if I have to, and I had a few purple pieces that I was able to stick in there. I believe there was never mind. I don't remember. I think I was trying to create a question mark out of these purple dots, but I didn't have enough. But yeah, that's my Riddler mech that I made. I think it's pretty cool. I don't remember if it can stand on its own. I'm pretty sure it can. But I feel like it's a pretty decent mech for the amount of parts that I have in it. And you'll see with a lot of my builds, I don't tend to be super detailed, if you will. When I grew up playing Lego, the sets that I got, like looking back on them, are very, very basic in nature and don't have a ton of detail on them. Whereas nowadays with the light Lego sets, you know, if you get like a Speed Champion set, for instance, those things are heavily detailed. Like they literally look exactly like the car that you're trying to build. And even now, like in Lego City is again super detailed. I have the bulldozer or the excavator. I have that set and it is just super detailed. It's sick, don't get me wrong. But there's a nostalgia factor that I feel like that the more simple sets had, where you get a little bit more basic pieces, larger pieces, and building that kind of enables kids to break it apart and build larger other things, like houses, for instance. This next one was the one I've most recently built, which is just like a little bat raft or a bat boat. I thought it was pretty cool. Again, this one was very inspired by, I want to make something that's very simple. I was trying to think of like, okay, if this was like a $15-$20 set, how could I jam pack a lot of cool like tech that Batman would use into a single like raft piece? And this is what I came up with. So as you can see, the front is literally just a steering wheel. And we got the Bat logo, which is printed. I don't remember what set this is from. Maybe this is from that. It's like a Joker helicopter and a Batman plane, I believe, like a Batwing, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't the 2008 set, because I never got any of those, despite me really wanting those minifigures. Right here we have an antenna. This is just for intelligence. This doesn't swivel, which is just because the piece that does swivel is for the crane here. I was debating whether I should make the antenna swivel or this swivel, just because I couldn't find another one of these swivel pieces. And so I just went with the crane because I was like, oh, that's more fun. And so the idea is, you know, you're on your raft, and if something's in the water, like a bad guy, you use the crane to pick them up by the collar or something. Or maybe you pick up some sort of evidence. And there's a couple of buttons and a lever here. On the other side, we do have a turret or little gun that's kind of very sleek. It's supposed to kind of make it blend in a little bit with the boat shape, but you can see there you have a not a gun, because Batman doesn't use guns. It's more of a net. Let's say it's a net in there. Going up to the back, it's a little hard to see just because everything's in black, but there is a ladder here to get up to this platform here. And this is kind of where I started with the boat, actually, was in the back. This crane won't do anything, but behind here I just got some propellers, and then obviously this main platform you could use for like diving, or if you need to look out to see something that's behind you. Overall, I actually really like this MOC for how simple it is. I feel like it could be, you know, in my head, it would be like a $15-$20 Lego set. Maybe if there was like a side build for the villain. And finally, my favorite one that I made. I don't have a proper name for it. Maybe I call it a Bat Cruiser, because again, it's another Batman vehicle. And this is what I have. So this is a very sleek design. As you can tell, obviously this is yellow, this is gold. So these are from two different like Batman sets, if you will. But this, and let me wipe this because I don't know if this is clean enough. Maybe it's just the light that I have. Ugh. I don't know why there's a glare across the screen here. Oh, it's from that light. Oh, okay. Anyway, this is supposed to be implemented for Batman to use out on the streets. And so when he's chasing a bad guy who's, you know, like weaving in between cars or something down a road, this thing just takes up both lanes or 3 lanes. And like the idea is that if he's coming up behind a vehicle, the vehicle bumps and rides up over it, which is not safe for your car, especially if you don't have insurance. But I think would be pretty badass to, you know, be able to move citizens off to the side in a relatively safe way. Maybe I don't know, it depends on where they're doing it. If they're doing it on a bridge and they're falling off the bridge, that's a whole other ordeal. But this would be, in my head, kind of like almost like a giant tank or a giant wedge to get vehicles to go over Batman's head so he can just keep riding after who he's going for. The cockpit doesn't really have anything in there too specific. There's no like controls or anything in there. It's just black darkness in there. And then the wheels underneath are very, very close. Like it's almost like a lowrider, really. So if Batman runs into a speed bump, there might be some issues. Obviously, I put like a little light in the back. I probably should have had some sort of exhaust, but I just didn't make any because I like the shape of it. I don't, again, like I said, I don't really have a proper names for it. So if you guys have some sort of cool name for this, leave it down in the comments below because I'm very curious to see what kind of names people come up with for this vehicle here. So that ends my MOCs that I've made. There's a lot more that I've made throughout my life, but I have broken them apart and have thrown them into the abyss that is my Lego collection. But maybe once in a while I'll make some new MOCs and I'll show them off. This is something that, you know, I enjoy doing every once in a while, just building MOCs. It's not something I'm heavily into because I don't usually plan what I build. I just kind of go with the flow. But I thought it would be cool to show these, document them, so they are here forever on this channel. So if you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.